Hi everyone, and welcome back to this edition of High Alching for Profit. I'll probably stop making episodes of this next month, and I'll probably do it every other month just to kind of keep an update on things. But for right now, let's get to it. And a friendly reminder, if you could subscribe to the channel, I'm hoping to reach 1,000 subscribers by the end of the year. And if I can do that, I will actually be taking an editing course. So hopefully these videos will be a lot better. But I need your guys' support, and I appreciate it. Thank you. So the first item we're going to start with is the Fire Battlestaffs. Fire Battlestaffs, this is probably one of my top items to buy, just because it has a high buy limit. It is traded pretty often, and you can consistently get them for under 9K. That's just at 9K. And they have a high alch value of 9,300. So when you incorporate the cost of the nature rune, you're looking at roughly about 200 to 300 GP depending on the price you can get for them. Staying along the same lines, if for some reason the Fire Battlestaffs aren't buying, which I don't see why they wouldn't, currently water and fire Battlestaffs buy for around the same price. Actually, fire buys for about 100 GP less. So this will increase your profit because it has the same high alch value as the air. And usually you can make, depending on the price of it, around 300 GP as well. So this isn't as traded as often, usually about 200,000 times a day. Water is usually around the same, around 175 to 200,000, but it can be a good substitute for you. Next on the list is an oldie but goodie, the Magic Longbow. This is a cheaper version of the Battlestaffs. Usually you can get them for around 1230 to 1240. We were able to pick it up for 1230 here, and it has a high alch value of 1536. So you're making roughly about 200 to 225 GP per alch. And the great thing about this item is it also has a buy limit of 18,000, but it is traded 8 million times a day. So you shouldn't have any problem buying this item and making good money. This is definitely a solid pay-to-play item to high alch. On to the next item is going to be a bit more expensive. It is going to be the Onyx Bolts E. This is going to have a consistent buy price of around 8,600. And it always high alchs for 9,000. So when you incorporate the nature rune, you're going to be making 300 to 350 GP depending on what you can pick it up for. The great thing about this is it has a buy limit of 11,000, and there's usually around 2 million traded per day. So if you have the money to spend, this is definitely a good way to make profit per alch. But if you don't have a ton of money up front, this may not be an option for you. If money is an issue, you can always go for the Dragonstone Bolts E. These usually are around 380 to 400 GP. Honestly, that's a pretty good price. We bought it for 362. And these have a high alch value of 637. So when you incorporate the cost of nature runes and everything, and depending on the price, you can get it for, you can make profit of around 170 to 200 GP per alch. And just like the Onyx Bolts, it has a buy limit of 11,000 every 4 hours, but it is traded 4.7 to 5 million times a day. So another item that you won't have a problem buying, and it's also cheap enough to where you can buy a lot up front and then make good money just alching while watching fights or whatever you may be doing. One of my favorite items to always buy an alch was the Rune Arrow, and currently it is buying for around 76 to 77 GP. This will usually always be about the same, just for the simple fact that there's so many in game. This has a trade volume of 19 million times a day. So this is going to be the highest item traded, and it has a high alch value of 240. So you're going to be making roughly around 80 GP per alch. With that being said, you're going to hit the buy limit of 11,000 pretty quickly. But you shouldn't alch all those in 4 hours. So So you can put a high buy limit of say 44,000 and just leave it throughout the day and be able to collect and still make money on that. A couple items that have done really well lately are the Dragon Javelin heads. And this is due to the new bosses, the new Desert Treasure 2 bosses dropping them like crazy. So if we can pick it up for 768 GP, we can alch it for 1170 GP, which gives us a profit of around 300 GP per alch. These have a pretty high buy limit of 10,000, and due to the bosses, they're traded a lot more, usually around 7 million times a day. So this could be another item if you don't have a ton of money, or if you just want to switch it up or your other items aren't buying. This would be a good way to make money as well on your alchs. And if for some reason the Dragon Javelin heads are too expensive, you can buy the Rune Javelin heads. And these usually go for around 400 to 415. And bought it for 412. But this has a high alch value of 810. So that means you're still making 300 GP per alch. And just like the Dragon Javelin heads, it has a buy limit of 10,000 every 4 hours. And it's traded a little bit less, 6.8 million times a day. But again, with the new bosses, they're going to be consistently coming in. So this is a really good item to get into. You're almost doubling your money on your alchs, which is crazy. The next items I want to talk about are the d'hide bodies. So they vary in price and buy limit. The blue and green actually have a buy limit of 125, whereas the red and black only have a buy limit of 70. And when you look at the margin, some of the other ones like the red and black, I think you actually make more profit per alch. But with the blue, you actually make more money for the simple fact that you can buy more at a time. So currently it's showing 4,800 for a blue d'hide body, and it high alchs for 5616. So when you can buy it for 4,800, you're going to be making close to 700 GP per alch. Now again, it has a low buy limit of 125, but it's traded around roughly 550,000 times per day. So you could put this offer in overnight or throughout the day and be able to stack up a decent amount of d'hide bodies. Or if you just wanted to leave it in for a week and put in a huge buy limit, you could, and you'd make profit on this. So with the other d'hides, you're going to be making less money overall, but more money per alch, for the simple fact that they just high out for so much more. It's crazy. This one is saying you can get it for 5,900, and we actually got it a little bit cheaper. And we'll also buy the black d'hide body, and we will go ahead and buy the black d'hide body for 72.85. Perfect. And as you can see here, paid 58.60 and 72.85, and their respective high alchs are 67.38 and 8,088. So with each of these having a buy limit of 70 and traded around 400 to 500,000 times per day, you're looking at about making almost 1,000 GP on the red d'hide bodies, and you're looking at about 800 GP on the black d'hide bodies. This is a good way to make money overnight because you can put a big buy order in and just let it sit and start collecting the d'hide bodies. So one of the big jewelry pieces for pay to play is going to be the diamond bracelet, and this has a buy price of 1917, and I got it for 1910, which is even more profit, and it has a high alch value of 2,295. So when you alch it, you're making roughly around 300 GP per alch, And this has a buy limit of 10,000 GP, and it's also traded pretty often, around 500,000 times. So this is another one where you can let it sit overnight and you should be able to collect all of them and start alching. And the last items I want to talk about are going to be the dragon items. This includes the dragon plate skirt, dragon plate legs, and dragon battle axe, and dragon halberd. So each of these items have an extremely high profit margin per alch. So for the dragon plate skirt, we bought it for 160,844 GP. It has a high alch value of 162,000, which means we're getting just under 1,100 GP per alch. And all these items have a buy limit of 70. So what I would suggest is just going through and buying as many as you can at a point, and once you hit the buy limit, buy the other one, continue going back and forth until you are either at your limit for all of them or until it resets every 4 hours. For the dragon plate skirt, or excuse me, for the dragon plate legs, we bought it for a little over 161,000, but it also has a high alch price of 162. So this one you're not going to be making as much, but it's still going to be 900 plus GP per alch. With the dragon battle axe, we paid 119, and it has a high alch value of 120,000. So again, you're going to be making just under 1,000 GP per high alch. And for the dragon halberd, we paid 148,929, and it has a high alch value of 150,000. So this one we're actually making a little over 1,000 GP per high alch as well. So here is the table of items that we went over, and here is the profit margin per each item. The dragon items you make the most on, they are the most expensive, so you have to invest more. But if money is not an issue, this is definitely a good way to make the most profit. So when we get into the buy limit, so everything from the air battle staffs to the diamond bracelet, you can buy in one go, and you can only do 1,200 alchs per hour, so you're never going to have to worry about the buy limit with these items. However, with the d'hide bodies and the dragon items, they have a buy limit that you're going to hit pretty quickly. These are what you can expect to make if you bought each individual item and you alched it for an hour. So with the items that have a higher buy limit, you're going to be making roughly around 240 to 360,000 per hour, which is pretty good because so you can rotate between the items and consistently make that price if one of the items is going higher and the profit margin isn't as good. However, if you buy all the items on the bottom, you're only going to be doing about 545 alchs, and you're going to hit the buy limit for each item, but you're going to be making more profit, around 465k to 520k, depending on how much you make on each item. With that being said, however, if you bought all those items, there's still an extra 655 alchs you could be doing elsewhere. So what I would suggest is going with the item that's making the most money for you. For this example, we're going to say the Onyx Bolts E. And when you add an extra 600 alchs from this, you're going to be making closer to around 645k to 760k an hour. And this is because you should be able to alch all the dragon items, the d'hide bodies, and 600 Onyx Bolts E tips within an hour, and you would be making that profit. This is also going to fluctuate if you choose other items like the air battlestaffs or the rune arrows, whatever you can get your hands on, but you're going to be making around this per hour, which is incredible for high alching only. So that is this month's guide on high alching for profit. I hope you guys enjoyed, and if you did, please like, comment, and subscribe, and I will make another one of these videos in a couple months when everything kind of settles down with the new items, prices, and see what else is profitable. Thank you guys, and I hope you have a good day. Bye.